about us. Today is February 1st, 2003, and I am Mary Montez. I am interviewing Mr. Willard Walle here in Reseda, California, 6938 Baird Street. He was served in World War II. And also at this interview is his wife, and her name is Helena Walle. Okay. So we're recording, and would you like to maybe start by telling me? You told me that you were in the National Guard with your brothers, and that was how you were inducted into the Army.
Yes, well, I can start out when we come out to visit my brother, my oldest brother, and one just younger than me stayed out and joined up with him in the National Guard. I went back to Salina, Kansas, and come back out and joined up with them. We all went up to San Luis Obispo for the basic training. My oldest brother had ear trouble when he was younger, and he had a hole in his eardrum, and they didn't allow that in the Army, so they discharged him. My brother, just younger than I am, he had to go to the hospital for something. They found out he had flat feet. So they took pictures of his flat feet and they discharged him. I was the only one that was left in the Army. And I come out to be with them, and they all got out, and I was the only one that was left.
Amazing.
We joined the infantry to start with, but after basic training, I wasn't too sharp on infantry, and I've been a mechanic for 5 years before that. So I wanted to transfer into the Ordnance Company where I could work on trucks and Jeeps and so forth. And that's what I did, and I transferred, and that's what I was in that outfit from then on until discharge. I was glad I did. It was a good company. It was a lot better than chasing over the hills and shooting.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was. Why did you decide to enlist?
1 year. At that time, they had 1 year service. You wouldn't get 1 year service, and then you'd be discharged or out of the Army. But before I got my 1 year up, the war broke out. So I was stuck then for the rest of the duration. But anyway, that was the reason we all joined up to get for at that time in 41, why they was requiring you to put in 1 year of service. But the war broke out before my year was up, so I stayed in. I had to stay in.
Now, where were you when the war broke out?
I was here in Reseda when, well, you mean Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
I was here in Reseda visiting my folks on the weekend from San Luis Obispo. I heard on the radio, and they said, all soldiers report back to your companies immediately. Well, I had a car, and I brought down 3 or 4 other soldiers and left them off on Hollywood. And I come out here then, and Sunday evening I go down and pick them up, and we go back to camp. Well, I couldn't go down after they said that Sunday morning. I couldn't go down and pick them up because people wouldn't be there. And I couldn't go up back to San Luis Obispo without taking them with me, so I had to wait till evening to pick them up at my regular time. But we had no trouble getting by with people out there motioning us on.
Is that right?
Sorry.
That's okay. I understand. So you picked these guys up then?
Anyway, well, we got back to camp, and the next day was when the president gave his little speech, and we're now at war and all of that. And then shortly after that, we came down here to L.A. to, I guess, protect the coast, I guess, with our division, because I was stationed here in Van Nuys, where I was stationed at. But when it first came down, we went to Warner Brothers Studios down there. And we were staying in the studio lots and everything else, and then we moved up to the place in Van Nuys there, and we stayed there until April of 42, I guess. And we went up to Washington. I can't remember the name of the camp up there. And we went up there and more training. And we was there until August, I believe, of August of 42. We went down to San Francisco. We got on a boat and went over to the Hawaiian Islands. And
So that would have been like in 42 when you went to Hawaii.
yeah, and then we went over to Kauai, and we was there, and I helped set up a bunch of trucks. They'd send them over in boxes in those days, in crates, and we set up a bunch of trucks there, the big 6x trucks.
You mean the truck was disassembled?
It was all disassembled. We assembled a whole bunch of them there at New Willie on Kauai. We had a big lot there. We assembled a bunch of the big trucks. They come down just in boxes. It was something.
Huh.
Anyway, we stayed there then until, I don't remember just when it was. Then we went back to Oahu, and we was stationed there, more training out on the east side. And then it must have been in December, we got on a big boat, the Smithsonian. It was a big luxury liner in those days, but anyway, they converted it into a troop carrying ship. And I don't know how many, there was thousands of us on that ship. And that's why we didn't know where we was going, but we wound up on Guadalcanal. And that was, we landed on Guadalcanal New Year's Eve in 43. December the 31st in 43, we landed on Guadalcanal. We was there as a mop-up operation for, in the spring sometime, and we went to New Britain. And they've done some more mop-up there for, I don't know just how long, anyway, and must have been November, December, we loaded up off of New Britain and got in ships and was on a great big convoy to go to Luzon in the Philippines to invade in Lingayen Gulf. That's turned off. Anyway, in the big convoy, when we was going to the Luzon for the invasion, why some of these suicide Japanese planes come out and they hit one of our escort carriers. It was just right behind where we was at, where the ship I was on. It was a big convoy. And anyway, one of them suicide dudes hit our, one of our escort carriers and knocked it out, but we didn't stop the convoy or anything, but anyway, we lost that one ship, or lost the planes and stuff off of it, but it didn't sink. They just hit it, but it didn't sink. It killed a bunch of guys on it. But anyway, then we went on up to into the Lingayen Gulf then. Got there January the 9th of 45. And when we landed there, but I was on a freighter, and I wasn't on the first wave of anybody. We had to unload the ship with bridge material and all that kind of stuff. It was on the ship what I was on, and I was down the hole helping unload everything off of the ship. And then, I don't know, 2 or 3 days later, we went on a landing barge and went into the Gulf, but it was 2 or 3 days after the initial invasion, and the infantry went on down the line, and we went in and we wasn't too much excitement on there. Their planes had come over once in a while. Some of the Jap planes had come over once in a while and scare the tar out of us, but that it wasn't much. It was pretty much under control at that time because we had our planes was out there taking care of them. But anyway, then I don't know what I don't remember how long we was on Luzon. Anyway, after they went on down, got fairly close to Manila, we turned around and went back. Our company went back with one of the infantry regiments went back, I think. I don't know which one it was. Anyway, we went back to Bengal Gulf place there, and they got on ships then. We went down to another island, Panay. We was there for a while mopping up, and then went to Negros, another island. We was there for a while mopping up, and that's where I got orders that I was getting kicked out of the Army. And when my time was up. And anyway, we got on ships then and went over to Leyte, the island of Leyte, and we stayed there for quite a while. That was when they was getting ready. When we was on Leyte is when they dropped atomic bombs in Japan. And, anyway, we had to stay there for quite a while. But in the meantime, when we was on that island, I heard or thought my brother had come down from the United States, and he was on Leyte. So.
As a civilian?
No, he was in the Army too. He had been drafted, and he was in another company there, but I wasn't sure.
Now, was this the brother with the bad ear or the flat feet?
No, that was a younger one, but hadn't been in before. There's 5 of us brothers.
So this was just a completely different brother?
Yeah, different one. Anyway, they had a Red Cross station there, and I went down and asked them if they could help me locate my brother on the island, if he was on the island, if they could help me. We don't do things like that, they said. We don't do anything like that. I haven't had nothing to do with Red Cross since. Anyway, I went back and talked to the captain of the company where I was staying there at that time, waiting. And he says, "There's a phone, help yourself." So I started calling. And the Army phones will only go so far. Then you can't hear anything, it's fuzzy. Oh. So then it has to be relayed. Somebody has to call on to the next one. You give them their message, it keeps on going to the next one. Anyway, I finally got to the spot where the guy was getting ready to call the company where my brother was. I found out he was on the island. But the last one, instead of Walle, it turned out was Holly. And they had a guy by the name of Holly in there. So he come down to see me at the place where I was at. And anyway, he seen me and he knew who it was right away. Had the names mixed up, so he went back. And then my brother came down, and that's where I met him. But we met each other after about 3.5 years. But I hadn't seen each other.
That's a long time.
Anyway, after they dropped the bombs there, then things was kind of calmed down a little bit while they released the ship that we had there waiting to take us back, bring us back to the States. So we all loaded up and headed back. And I thought I was going to miss my birthday. Crossing the international date line. Almost had 2 Christmases going down and almost missed the birthday coming back. Anyway, we got back and we landed in Puget Sound up there in Seattle. And they kept us on the ship for about an hour trying to figure out whether they was going to make us pay tax on the cigarettes we had bought on the ship. And it took quite a while, but they finally released us and got us out and lined us up. Now they talk about they have parades and everything. They lined us up on a spot there, and they come down and give us half a pint of cold milk. Anyway, after they give us the milk there and stuff, why, we got on trains then and went down to, oh no, first we went to the mess hall. And it seems the waiters in there had PW on German soldiers was waiting on tables.
Really?
Prisoners of war. But they was shoot fire. They was real nice guys. They was all just they was in the army just like we was. But they was there waiting on us on them tables, and that was something else. The prisoners of war from Germany over there waiting on us. That was something else. Anyway, after we left there, we went down to Camp B on California there, and that's where I got discharged. They wanted me to sign up again to be a reserve, and no way. I told them I was done with that. And also I had to have some teeth, 2 or 3 cavities, and I was going to have to stay another 2 or 3 days in order to get them things. I signed a waiver to forget it, I'll take care of it myself.
She wanted to go home.
I was going home, I was done with it. Anyway, that was about the end of it. Then I got on the bus and anyway, I had it made up that we'd go across the Oakland Bay Bridge, I think, and just as soon as we got across the bridge, the bus would stop and let me off. And that's where my brother that had the ear trouble, had got out and been out for all that time. But my wife was with him at that time, and I was going to get off the bus and meet her at the bottom of the bridge. And anyway, that's the way it was. I got off there and carried my big old bag down there with me, and that's where I met my wife after I got back from overseas. From then on, why, it just, because wasn't much more to it then, I guess, as far as the Army.
That must have been an exciting day when you got off that bus to go meet your brother and your wife.
Yeah, it was nice.
It must have been a very exciting day. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
long ago.
What was the food like in those areas?
We had when we was on New Britain, well, we got most of our stuff, I guess, from Australia.
Oh.
And they keep that dirty, rotten old beef at their place and send us that good mutton over to our place. And every time they'd have that, you'd smell that for miles. That was something else. The bread, you could hold it up and pick out the bugs.
Oh.
It was out in the sticks. It wasn't bad, but anyway, it was all full of bugs, and you eat the crust, well, you couldn't even tell there were bugs in it, so the rest of it, you'd pick them out.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't that bad, though. It lived through it, and it was all fit to eat anyway.
Healthy bugs.
Good
Healthy
healthy bugs.
bugs.
And
Extra protein.
roasted. No, it was quite a deal. They gave us Atterbrine to keep us from getting malaria.
Oh.
And
Yes.
we all took it, and it was all just yellow like when and I kind of appropriated enough. After I got out of service, I had enough for, I think it was 3 months supply that I had appropriated. Didn't steal it, just But anyway, why, they claimed that if you kept it for about 3 months after that, if you had anything in your body, it would disappear, you know.
Oh.
Anyway, I kept taking them for 3 months after I got out of service. So that, and I never had any malaria, never did. I was usually the head of the tent where we was at in them places, and they always had the mosquito nets over their beds. And I had to take a can of spray, mosquito spray or something, and go around and spray each one of the things after they'd put their nets in and stuff, and spray it to kill the mosquitoes if there's any in there, because we had a lot of mosquitoes there.
Oh,
Down in the tropics.
yeah.
But I never got cold, but like it over, not in Germany. Up in trenches where there'd be snow, it was always warm. I was sure happy about that.
Because you were in Hawaii and Guatemala.
All
and
the tropical
Philippines.
places, all of them. It was all of them was, well, I was below the equator there for a bunch of it, I don't remember just what of it. But then we got up to the Philippines, and that wasn't that bad there either. I don't remember, but I know it wasn't real cold. No.
How did the soldiers entertain themselves in any kind of free time?
They had some, when they had free time, when there wasn't anything, once in a while they'd have a projector and they would show shows. But I saw the same show dozens of times, same show. You wanted to have something to do that night, you go to the show. See the same one over again. But it was something. They was trying to do their best to entertain us. So, and that part didn't bother me any. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
The whole thing, it could have been so much worse. I was so fortunate to get through without no troubles at all. Never got in any trouble with anybody. It was just, looking back on it, it was really a good deal. What I went through and everything for no more, and I didn't get hurt. I just smashed a finger once was all. I was helping unload some bridge stuff off of the ship, and it smashed, the thing went up against, and I had my finger on the end of the thing, and it smashed it, but it didn't hurt nothing. I mean, it was sore for a long time. Anyway, that's the only hurt I think I got in the whole darn thing.
Wow.
No, I was lucky. Wow.
You probably was a very good decision you made to go into the
Ordnance.
Ordnance.
I could thank myself so many times for get out of that infantry. Well, after I went through the basic training, that was enough of that. Well, I was ready to try it, so I went and took a test, and of course I passed. Of course, I'd been doing a lot of mechanic work before that. And then I had to go try out at the maintenance company, or the ordnance company. And then they say, well, you got to come back tomorrow. So I'd have to go back and tell my first sergeant again, I got to go back again tomorrow. Back and forth, and I finally got the transfer papers, and I was done then. But boy, what a deal.
Yeah.
Oh, that was nice. So I was sure happy to get into that ordnance, and that's what I've been doing before, so sure beat carrying a rifle and going out with the infantry.
Oh,
So
yes.
there was one thing in the infantry that when they was training while we had a dummy, well, they had it was supposed to be a man, and you were supposed to go up and stab him with a bayonet. We had fixed bayonets and everything, go up there and stab him, and then come back, and then take the butt of the rifle and hit him on the head. Well, I've done that a couple of times. The second lieutenant told me that you're not putting enough effort into it. Just do that again. You got to put a little more effort in. So I went down and I stabbed that dude good, come back and hit the guy, broke the stock off my rifle. So he didn't tell me I had to put more effort after that. I really nailed it.
Oh gosh.
But it wasn't too bad.
Did some of the soldiers play pranks on other soldiers or officers?
Well, they would short sheet them once in a while or something like that if we was in the barracks. Of course, we wasn't in barracks much. The only time we was in barracks when we was Schofield Barracks over in Honolulu. After that, we was all out in just tents. But anyway, you didn't have. But there, they would short sheet them in the barracks every once in a while if they did pull a joke on somebody. But otherwise, I don't remember them ever doing anything. Pulling tricks on them.
Mm-hmm.
There was one of the guys in the Army was from Kansas also, and we got to be real good friends. And when I was on New Britain, we was in the maintenance section. We got welders and everything we could use and everything like that. And him and I decided to make us a washing machine.
Oh.
So we took a barrel, laid it down, and cut it a little above halfway up, and put hinges on the back so we could open the thing up. Then we got a piece of culvert that goes under the roads. I don't know, it's maybe 16, 18 inches in diameter. And we cut it so it was just about a little bit shorter than the end of the barrel. And we put some wooden slats inside of that and put ends on it with rod through it. And then we took a little gasoline engine and took a bunch of big pulleys and reduced it down so we would just turn that drum inside of that thing real slow. We had a good setup.
Wow.
And we also that we had a little water pump there. We was sitting right close to a little creek. It's close to a creek, and we could take the belt off of the wash machine and put it on the water pump the water out of the creek into the wash machine. So we had it all set up. We was really uptown, boy, for out there in the sticks. Made it have our own wash machine.
That's very innovative.
Yeah, it worked out real good. Yeah, and a lot of the guys in the camp would want to use it. We'd rent it to them for, I think we got a shilling for it. I think that was English money that we had at that time. We got a shilling for it, which is about a quarter in our money, I guess. Anyway, we made a little money on renting out the wash machine. And we took a stove, one of the old stoves that the kitchen had. It wasn't any good anymore, and fixed it up so we could set underneath the tub to heat the water up, so we'd have hot water. So we had that, and we had shields all around it, so it done a good job. We had it. I just wish I had pictures of that. I don't know, I might have some, but that was quite a deal we had.
That's very innovative.
It was a neat deal.
It really is. Of course, drying the clothes was probably another story in the tropics, right?
It did. It just hang on the ropes of the tent or something someplace, and no problem as far as drying, because it rained some, but there never any trouble.
Wow, that's a great story.
We had showers. The guys had weld drums together, so we'd have maybe 2 or 3 drums in a bunch, and you'd have a couple 100 gallons of water, and they took pipes out and put a little shower head on each one of them, and you pull a string and you get a shower. They had a whole bunch of them in there, so in the evening we'd all go down and take a shower. That was when we was on kind of a spot where we didn't move around. We just was not one spot all the time, on New Britain mainly. But that was a good deal. We go down there and take a shower and have your own shower.
That is great.
It was.
I'm sure the other soldiers appreciated that too.
Probably
that
all
you guys
did,
felt that.
No, it was quite a deal, and I was sure so happy I was in a company where you could do that kind of things.
Yeah.
Infantry, you wouldn't have had a chance, but here we had our own welders and everything. We could make whatever we wanted to. It was a good deal, and I made a bunch of jewelry stuff. Hey, I don't think I got any.
You made that?
There's one thing.
Wow.
bunch of stuff that I made.
Aloha Hawaii. That's nice. What is this?
That there is, the main thing is a kitchen knife out of the thing on Schofield Barracks. That was just a regular kitchen knife.
Uh-huh.
And I ground it down and everything, and the plastic, got just plastic in between, and the other is, that this here is a 30 caliber machine gun bullet. Just cut off so much of it, put it in there, and then this here, I don't know, that's plastic. I don't know whether it's off an airplane or not. I think it might be. But anyway, then these other just pieces of brass there that I cut out to put in between there. I got a big knife out of great big ones I made. I got it outside. I use it all the time.
That's lovely.
And I made a bunch of other stuff. I made a bunch of picture frames and stuff out of shells. And, oh, I got a light in there out of a 37 millimeter.
And so this was kind of how you more or less entertained yourself.
Yeah.
Because you enjoyed doing that.
Oh yeah, I'd like something like that. Well, I made stuff for my wife, a bracelet out of cat eyes, which was a shell in the ocean, and that was a trap door. Is what the cat eye, we call it a cat eye, but anyway, it was a little thing out of that used as a trap door on the thing. You cut that off, and I let it dry good, and I made a ring and a bracelet and stuff. I shouldn't maybe say it, but anyway, I take Australian coins and flatten them out and tear up the side so it would hold this cat eye in there, and then I put on a link to make a whole bunch of them around the wrist. And I don't know, I've done pretty good at that stuff.
Wow.
It was fun. There's something to do.
Something to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
And you worked on trucks, automobile type of vehicles.
Trucks, tanks. And we had different parts of the company. Some of them would work on rifles, and some on maybe small artillery.
Oh.
And we'd have some that worked on trucks and jeeps. But mainly, we was a replacement. We would replace things on things. We wouldn't overhaul anything. If it, like a carburetor on a truck, we would overhaul that, because I was in charge of that thing, and I'd have to order kits. I keep ordering kits from Finchhaven over on New Guinea, and it wouldn't come for a couple of months, and I'd order another bunch. Pretty soon they all come. I had lots of parts.
Can't win.
That was something else. And they just had it. We got a deal of World War II that we've been looking at here. I got over in Germany and all, through the Africa and all, and I got a bunch that over in the Pacific, which we're just looking at now.
Huh.
It's kind of interesting to look back and see what went on, but it was terrible, just terrible. I was just glad that I was not in some of that stuff.
Yeah. Did the military influence your career when you came back to the States?
No.
No.
I was already doing mechanical work before I ever went in. And when I come back, why, I even opened up a shop of my own for a while. My brother, the one with the ear trouble, him and I had the shop for a while, but it just, in those days, right after the war, there was so much competition. I couldn't make it. We just closed up the shop. Yeah. Then I went to work as a mechanic in other shops. And then I went to work for a Ford tractor dealership in Van Nuys, and I worked there for 26 and a half years. And that's where I retired from.
So you always did that kind of work?
Yeah, I was always doing mechanical work. So that was the reason I transferred into the mechanic section of the division.
Yeah. 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 Hmm. Do you keep in touch with anyone from the service?
No, I did for quite a while. Kept in touch with one or two or three different ones, and this Fred Schultz in Kansas, I kept in touch with him. Another guy in Chicago for quite a while. And there was a guy out here that was in the same company. But I lost track of all of them. I don't know of any of them anymore now.
It's hard, you know, years go by.
Oh well, yeah. But good God, look, it's been 55 years or something since we got out, so
Yeah.
a long time.
Yes, it has. It has. Okay.
No, it was something, but I don't regret any of it. You know, some of them, boy, I just wish I hadn't to go through that. I saw a lot of country, and I never got hurt.
Yeah.
So, got no regrets.
Any other stories you have that you want to talk about?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I probably can think of a bunch more sometime, but not right now. I can't think of any more.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Turn it off a minute.